Whoa, what is that?
What the heck is that?
Ana?
Come to me. Me away!
5 immersive worlds. One amazing theme park. Our universe will never be the same.
Mia?
Oh, you gotta see this.
So yeah, just hold on for a minute. It's all going to make sense in a second.
There's a lot of interest in people coming from space.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very special moment because this is the presentation of the Space Force flag. My administration is reclaiming America's heritage as the world's greatest spacefaring nation. So we've worked very hard on this, and it's so important from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, from every standpoint there is.
How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
What'd they tell you?
I interviewed jet pilots that were solid people, and they said, we saw things, sir, that were very strange. Like a round ball, but it wasn't a comet or a meteor, and it was going 4 times faster than an F-22, which is a very fast plane.
Let me just say it's a very historic moment. The United States has been a spacefaring nation for decades. But we know that our adversaries in the last several years have weaponized space. They've made it a warfighting domain.
Side note, trillionaires are talking about AI warfare.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
But our destiny beyond the Earth is not only a matter of national identity, but a matter of national security. So important for our military, so important, and people don't talk about it. When it comes to defending America, it is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space. So important.
It's a question a lot of folks have been asking for decades. Is there intelligent alien life? And if so, has the government been covering it up?
Last year, the House Intelligence Committee held a hearing on UAPs. They brought in some Pentagon bureaucrats who only had 2 answers to the questions they were asked. I don't know, or that's classified. This hearing is going to be different.
Yeah, that's right, Craig. At yesterday's hearing, ex-government and military officials suggested that may be the case, that there are intelligent beings that live off of the planet. Witness testimony included a range of stories related to UFOs and UAPs, which stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon. One former Navy admiral said that he had confirmation of them in 2015 when he remembers getting an email from U.S. Fleet Force Command. The video showed a flying object by a Navy aircraft doing exercises, noting that there were several near mid-air collisions. The next day, he said the email mysteriously disappeared from his and others' accounts. No explanation was ever provided from another Defense Department official, and they claimed that the U.S. and its adversaries were hiding away UAP technologies. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Let me be clear. UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies.
Say what?
Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement. We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force, separate but equal. It is going to be something so important.
Very, very great honor. It's a great honor. That's a beautiful flag, too. Roger, hold that up so they can see. That's really beautiful. Wow. That's a big day. That's a big day.
Can somebody explain the logo?
General Raymond?
Please. So the delta in the middle is a symbol that the space community has used for years and years and years.
Great. So it's just been newly created, but it's been used for years and years and years.
The North Star signifies our core value, our guiding light, if you will. And the orbit around the globe signifies the space capabilities that fuel our American way of life and our American way of war.
That's great.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey and ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you
Want to
shoot
know
them
the
down?
truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
All those drones over New Jersey, what's behind all of that?
There's nothing nefarious, apparently, but they're checking it all out. I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it. Everybody wanted to get in the deal. But we're following it closely. So far, no sense of danger.
Will you treat the Prime Minister?
Take a look at what happened.
And the Jedi rebellion has been foiled.
What's happened?
The Chancellor's been elaborating on a plot by the Jedi to overthrow the Senate.
And the remaining Jedi will be hunted down and defeated. The attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. But I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger. In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
From the President's office in the White House in Washington, D.C., we present an address by the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. so is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
So this alien thing is a past, present, and future thing, and we shouldn't be ignorant of it, because it will come to a point where we can't avoid it, and we shouldn't be ignorant of what's happening. So right now I'm gonna bring it back to Africa, and we're gonna go deeper into this mystery.
Around 10 a.m. on the morning of September 16th, 1994, children at the Ariel School went outside for a mid-morning break while their teachers were in a meeting. It was a seemingly normal day, until the children noticed something strange come out of the sky and land in a nearby field. When the 62 children who witnessed the event were later interviewed, they all gave some variation of the same story. Each of them had seen at least one silver disc, possibly more, land in a small circle of trees, and from the disc emerged several quote-unquote men, dressed all in black with large dark eyes, small slit mouths, and odd pale skin. The strange beings communicated with the children, but their mouths never moved. Rather, they spoke to the children with their minds, showing them visions of an apocalyptic Earth, warning the children of the future repercussions of Earth's continuing industrialization and environmental devastation.
And one of the things I've realized was that there were roughly 100 kids in the playground, broad daylight, Ariel School, Rua, Zimbabwe, 1994, and they got within some of them within arm's length of these beings.
Standing by the silver thing, and he had big eyes.
He had a big head and big black eyes and was dressed in a black bodysuit.
They were trying to communicate, trying to tell us something. It was something to do with the environment.
I kept getting these thoughts and ideas in my mind of technology. Technology is not helping, technology is bad.
I believe that the children did see something.
I believe them because normally children don't lie.
I do know that children are capable of lying, but for them to pull this off, they would have had to have this elaborate conspiracy theory as 100 children. So when you really think about it, this evidence is so compelling. I know there have been so many sightings all over the world, but we'll just use this as the only case study because this one is so compelling. And I think of all of the ones that I've ever heard and researched, because I've been fascinated by this for a very long time, since I was young. But of all of the reports, this one is very fascinating when you actually look into the facts, and there's a whole documentary about it. But here I'm just going to put some highlights.
What took place September 1994 here at Ariel School, Rua, Zimbabwe.
Aliens visited us. And that's about it, yeah.
One was running in the trees, and the other one was running across the ship.
Did he look at you?
Yes, then he gave me the creeps, and this was all black in here.
All black. Now you've made pupils. Do they actually have pupils or
white?
Well, why do you think they might want us to be scared?
All the trees will just go down, and there will be no air, and people will be dying.
I knew that this was something from another planet or something from out of this worldly space.
How much has this changed your life?
The longest part of my life when we're probably silent about it. This was never to just blindly confirm that, yes, what I believe, but I was also kind of hoping that it might not have been true.
But I did definitely see
what you saw.
What I saw, yes.
There's no way that a mass landing with the sheer volume of eyewitness testimony at a school in broad daylight could happen and the whole world not know about it. There were roughly 100 kids in the playground, broad daylight, Ariel School, Rua, Zimbabwe, 1994, and they got within some of them within arm's length of these beings. We tracked down the witnesses today. We flew them in from all different corners of the world, brought them together. A lot of them were standing right next to each other. You've got all these children saying what they saw on camera after it happened, and then you see them 20 years later, and then we go to Africa and we meet with the headmistress. She was a teacher at the time. We meet with other witnesses. We go to the landing site, talk to people at the school. It was witnessed by lots of other people in and around the area for several days before it chose a school to land.
But those kids, the way they were talking about it and the way they were drawing it, you're like, wow, it really does seem like something happened to them.
So inevitably, we're going to go to the Bible because everything worthwhile is in the Bible. So this is 2 Kings 2:1. And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went unto Elisha in Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, Tarry thee, I pray thee, for the Lord has sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, As the Lord lives, as thy soul live, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came from Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, Yeah, I know it. Hold you your peace. So a lot of people are familiar with the story of Elijah being taken up in a whirlwind. And there have been a lot of conjectures to say that this is actually a UFO. But besides that, the thing that a lot of people fail to notice is that the sons of the prophets and Elisha himself, they all knew about this phenomenon that was about to take place. So it's like they kind of had this power in their prophecy, in their prophetic ability, in order to know about these space UFOs, whatever they were. And whatever it was something that took him up in a whirlwind, and it was not a surprise to them. And it seems like they were already it was already in their awareness. And this is something that I just wanted to point out. So all this happened, it is apparent that Elisha had this connection with something that was celestial all the time. So this is 2 Kings 6:17-20. And Elisha prayed, Open his eyes, Lord, that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. So this is something that is in the sky. This is where the powers and principalities are. This is where the spiritual warfare is, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities in high places.
John Mack, with the funding of Lawrence Rockefeller, flew down to Africa and documented, I think it was roughly 66 out of the 100 school children that were on the field that day. I find the testimony of the children so compelling. They're all talking about these big, black, almond-shaped eyes. Of course, some of them saw the craft over here, some of them saw it over there, and they saw red lights and blue lights and green lights. And it was almost like whatever it was they were looking at was in between dimensions, because it could appear here and appear over there. According to the children, these beings that were roughly the size of them were as curious about the children as the children were of them, and they were mimicking the children's behavior.
Didn't you say something about they were like jumping on the logs with them too? And
skipping along. They were kind of floating along the logs, according to the children. Some of them had face-to-face contact, like Selma, for instance. And I said to Selma and Liesel, well, how close were you to this creature? She said, about a meter.
So right now I'm going to play some clips from the actual interview of the people who saw this phenomenon. And it's very interesting that I couldn't find the clip of when it aired on the national news in Zimbabwe, because it actually did air, because for some time the people were actually seeing the UFOs around them. And then for some reason these aliens chose a perfect moment when the teachers were in the classes, a perfect school according to them, for them to go to deliver their message. So it's a very interesting thing, unexpected. And as I said, this has happened, like people have seen UFOs and aliens, but here we're seeing UFOs and aliens at the same time. And it's also happening in the sense that the children themselves are like children, you know, like why did the aliens choose the children?
We were playing down over there on the log.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny, so we all ran down over there.
And it was in the early morning?
It was at break time.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And we didn't actually see their nose, but it was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. One of them was running in slow motion up across the ship, and the other one was standing beside the ship.
Yeah, you made a drawing, huh? It looked like this?
No, yeah, something like that. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank, like a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they came, I thought they were crazy.
Was that the first thing you thought?
I thought they were crazy just coming to our school doing nothing. And all I saw was something like silver coming down, and I said, what must that be? And everybody's crowding it. I must go crowd too. And then I went and I started crowding, and everybody, then more people came and more. And then I said, hey, I can't see anymore. Come on, somebody, I'm short. Come on. And then I went to the front, and I started seeing more of them, and then I just ran away. The day before the spaceship came, my friends and I were sitting in the playground, and one of my friends, her name Emily, she looked up into the sky and she said, oh, there's a UFO. She said, and I looked at it and she said, no, just kidding, it's an airplane. And we looked up and I thought to myself, that can't be an airplane because it was very shiny. It looked kind of like a cigarette, you know? It was a long thing, and then on the end it was all shiny. And so I said, maybe it is a UFO. So we were all kind of like getting scared now. And then the day that it happened, then we started thinking, yeah, there must have been a UFO in the sky. Because my brother also saw it, but he's left the school now.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of like a round shape, sort of like a plate, sort of like two plates that were sort of like on top of each other. Then there was sort of like the hole, the hatch for it, and there was sort of like in between two trees. But you couldn't see that clearly, and it was just silver all over. And I didn't see any men or something like that.
You saw one UFO that's surrounded by little ones?
Yeah, one big one. One spaceship.
Yeah?
Little ones around.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see your drawing. One big one?
One big ship and then small ones surrounding it with there were lights.
Yeah.
Surrounding the ship.
Like Sean's, huh? This is Sean's drawing.
Yes. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And, okay, one landed, the big one landed, and the two aliens came out.
Yes.
And what happened with the little ones?
The little ones, they were just flowing around in the air. They didn't touch the ground. They didn't touch the ground. Next to it.
And then these made the silver lights?
Yeah. Yeah, they were making different color lights, like green, red.
Flash to green, then they'd go to blue,
and then purple.
Yeah, purple and red. But it was like it was going like each one to each one, but quickly.
Yeah, like they would go there and then it would vanish, and then it would go there and vanish, and then vanish.
Oh, really?
But going quickly, like as if it was one ship moving to places.
Candace's drawing.
Camilla. Come on.
Were they yellow?
No, I didn't have a silver crayon.
So a lot is going on here, but what's interesting is that they were able to land at a place where the children had the vocabulary to actually be able to interpret it in that way, and everyone in the world can understand English. If it was a place where the people only spoke the local language, it would be very different. But this is actually in Zimbabwe.
You start to think as if it wasn't true. Yeah. And people say to you, no, it wasn't true, so you think it wasn't true.
Then you think that you're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, you get all upset.
Yeah, and everyone starts teasing. And my friends over the road, when I go there and I tell them about it, they just say, oh, he believes in aliens, oh, he's stupid.
You've seen too many movies.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of movies that were talking about aliens, but what changed this time is the disclosure from the people talking about this subject. So it's like now what we have always thought was not real is actually so real that we can't really handle it. And I'm just gonna go over some of the information because we have to know the information. Like, we should not be ignorant of the designs. So I'm gonna be going over the information, but here I'm gonna be using the African perspective because that side is not really told at all, because everything we hear about it is from the movies and we've always seen it as if it's that and only that. And that is actually interesting because the CIA is responsible for those movies, especially those ones that include aliens and things like that, like Iron Man. So here we're gonna be going into the African perspective, and interesting, like words like Dundum Sere is a word that means UFO in a Shona language. So which means that those people had a way of describing that UFO. And here I'm going to be going in the information of someone called Credo Mutua. Very, very controversial. So I'm just going to show some clips from him and we'll talk a little bit.
This creature is about 3 feet tall. It looks for all the world like a child who is on the last stages of dying of malnutrition. It looks exactly like this, and it has a strange smell which once you smell it, you shall never forget it. This creature is known by the Zulu-speaking people of South Africa as a Mantindane. The word Mantindane comes from the verb ntinda, which means to abuse, to fiddle with, and to torture by interfering with the victim's genitals and other private parts.
So here it's very important to understand what he's actually saying. And this picture that he drew is showing something that's like exactly almost the same as what the children were talking about. And I want to bring our attention here because for us to actually clarify everything, I'm also going to go into the Bible, but I'm just going to show you a few things first because this whole issue has to be clarified, and we also need to know about it from this perspective of what is true, what is real, what has been, what is, and what's trying to happen. So this is going to be expressed and explained in the Bible. So for now, it's like getting the information from his perspective is going to just give us just this context that we're not really aware of, and also to just let us have an idea of what is going on in that perspective. So yeah, some of the children were also feeling like those things wanted to take them. That could have been like a failed alien abduction. Who knows? Because some people have been abducted, and what they have said is this and that. And even himself, Credo Mutua, says that. But something interesting is going to happen here. He's actually showing the different alien types and races. So let's go into that, and then we'll like tie it all together.
This is an exact description of the Mantindan. It does exactly that. For hundreds of years, even mighty nations such as the Zulus, even powerful warrior nations such as the Botswanas and Xhosas lived in mortal fear of these creatures. I say that these creatures come from our future. Why do I say so? Because this creature arrives on Earth completely protected by a helmet and a suit of what looks like metal, flexible metal of some kind. The creature's hands, feet, and head are completely protected against our Earth's atmosphere. So is the Ngadlangadla here. It is completely sheathed in heavy metal. But with the Mantindan, the story is different. Mantindanes have been seen out in the open many times, their heads completely bare and their hands bare to the wrist, completely unprotected by any material or metal whatsoever. These creatures walk through our world as if they own it. A world in which there are so many poisonous substances. You will find Mantindanes bareheaded, their hands completely uncovered, in a world where logically they should be covered from head to foot. These creatures, furthermore, are capable of impregnating earth women. They seek fluids and flesh from us human beings. If these creatures were a species of creatures from some far planet, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't be able to impregnate our women. They wouldn't be able to do what they are doing to us. These are our descendants. And when you have been worked over by them, you will understand that what they are doing to you, they do it with angry consciences. They are taking revenge upon us for what we have done to our future a few thousand years from now.
So that part in particular is very important because it ties in with the alien message to the children in Zimbabwe when they came. They were telling them about this technology, this future, and how they shouldn't ruin the world with technology. And it's like they were angry. And he's talking about the same anger and rage that they have, this hatred towards humans apparently, or this because of what we ourselves have done to us ourselves. It's like very interesting. So it's also something that I want to point out here, that we've been talking about movies and everything, and here he was talking about they come from our future, and that's so bizarre. But I don't even know how to even wrap my head around that. But what I do know is this: the movies that I've been talking about, are the American movies. They have been talking about something called the time-space continuum. If you watch this movie, very popular for a reason, Back to the Future, it talks about these things, time-space continuum. So it seems like someone has broken that seal, that time-space continuum, and this is what is called the bottomless pit in the book of Revelation. So this is what will be happening, that they will be peeking into the time-space continuum because of certain things that people have done. So now I'm actually going to go even deeper, and I'm going to bring it into the East and the West and talk about how it is, but actually not the East, because I'm sure there's pretty much more to it. But here I'm just going to talk about what's been happening currently.
You haven't seen the Back to the Future trilogy until you've watched it on Blu-ray.
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Universal Pictures brings to you...
Hello? Think, McFly?
The most timeless trilogy ever.
I finally invent something that works!
Each film in the groundbreaking franchise on Blu-ray.
Great Scott.
Back to the Future.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Back to the Future Part 2.
Smile, Doc.
Back to the Future Part 3. Featuring high-definition picture.
Everything looks great.
And theater-quality sound.
Great Scott. I know, this is heavy.
Did I?
Aliens were spotted in Miami? 2 nights ago, an entire fleet of cop cars were seen outside a Miami mall. Onlookers began to question, why are there so many cops outside right now? Something must be going down. Early police reports indicated that the response was to disband a group of fighting teenagers? That doesn't really add up. Why would an army of police officers be needed to disband a group of teenagers? That's when the rumors began. People at the mall started to report seeing 10-foot tall, shadowy looking aliens. Not only that, these aliens were wreaking havoc throughout the mall, and that's why they needed so many police officers. One report noted that the airport was shut down, helicopters, shots reported, 61,000 homes without power. All of this was going on, but not much information was getting out. Kind of suspicious. Now, don't quote me on this because I do not know how credible a random Twitter account is, but just when things seemed to reach a climax, this video got released. Here's an inside look of a video of the giant alien being surrounded by police officers.
I'm on Wikipedia. I'm just on the internet. Yeah, I'm just looking at this. This is something very strange. This is called Iwas. This is Aleister Crowley. So if you're already familiar with Aleister Crowley, this is a guy, or if you're not, then this is a guy who's like very bad. He called himself the most evil person on earth, and he was a Satanist. And he did a ritual that released something called Iwas. I don't know if it came from the future. I don't know what he did, but it was a ritual. And then what came out was something like this thing. It looks like one of those. Would you say it looks like something resembling what those children saw? Or would you say it does not? But to me, it seems strange. And what's even stranger is that there's so many movies about this. And if you see Aleister Crowley, or if you know Aleister Crowley, what you have to understand is his influence in the world of entertainment, and also just see how the influence of Satan in music, entertainment, and things like that. And he had that huge influence of trying to do the most evil things that could possibly be done. And this evil apparently happened with this being thing. Yeah, so you could just also see it online. Just go on that Wikipedia, and it explains it. So I don't know what these things are. They could be things from a different dimension. They could be things from a different time, a different space. Say they're from outer space, out of our space. It could be in a different world, or they could be right here and just digital. They could even be I actually think they could actually be AI mixed with humans. This is why they think they are us, or they say that they are us, or people say that they are us in the future, because it's like AI, because we are AI. Or they could be something else. But one thing is for sure, I think the angels were something that was also terrifying, and these are also terrifying. But the difference with that, the angels are good in the most part, but the angels also, some of them fell, and 2/3 of them remained. So if you have a war, and then one side has a third, and they don't have the benefit of being in heaven, like you have the lower ground, higher ground, and you have a third size of the army, and then you're fighting against an army with 2/3 who wins. So this is why the battle has already been won, but the battle's already also starting. So there's just one verse that makes me wonder even further what exactly is going on. So here at Revelation 17:8, and the beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. So this is talking about one particular beast, but it's talking about something that was, is not, but it is. So this is something interesting because in 2 Thessalonians we're also hearing about a delusion, and then in the book of Luke, Jesus is like, do not be deceived. So this deception is so real that even the very elect would be deceived. But what we will see is, but is not, but yet it is. So this is why it's going to be so perplexing. So this is why, and this part is often overlooked because, like, what does it mean? So this is something that to me is reminiscent of something like artificial intelligence that becomes so real that it becomes unrealistically real. So this is one verse that just comes to mind in this whole conversation.